We've had discussions about the minimum wage off many different times over the years, both here at state government and
but is now the time
and federal government. Well, let's be honest. If you look at low-income Iowans, as I talk with them, they're telling me that their standard of living has not been improved by the government coming in and mandating that there should be a minimum wage set. What we need to do, rather than talking about old ideas, which can still be a part of this conversation, I'm not saying no to that, but let's look at some new ideas, some new approaches that first of all accept and help us all understand that taxing income hurts opportunities for Iowans. It's a penalty on productivity. Second, let's look at how we modernize our tax code so that it encourages innovation, creative thinking, rewards opportunity for all Iowans. And third, that modernization is going to also make sure that employers, job creators, are going to be able to come to Iowa and provide not just a job, but a career where Iowans can go to work every day and hold the promise of increasing their income.
So rather than raise the minimum wage, you think the state should get rid of the income tax?
I think we should have, in this environment, we should have a discussion of how we modernize our tax law.
Does modernizing mean get rid of the income tax?
I said, first of all, we recognize that taxing income is a penalty on productivity. So let's find a way that we can reward through our tax code in those changes that kind of productivity and innovation. It's a new idea that I believe holds great promise, and let's find a way to make Iowa a great place. We have rich land. Let's make it a promising place where everybody wants to come and work.
Can I paraphrase what you're saying there as rather than raising the minimum wage, tax less of what people do earn?
I think...
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in essence, you could phrase it that way. But more than anything, let's have a discussion. We have split control, Republican and Democrat in the Senate, about how we could take steps to modernize our economy and not penalize that growth and opportunity.
First of all, I do support raising the minimum wage, and we will have bills in both the House and Senate that call for a raise in the minimum wage. We last did it in 2007 here in our state, and so it's time for us to do it again and help more Iowans be able to provide for their families without having to work more jobs. Now, Senator Dix said that we should look at new ideas, and I wholeheartedly agree that we should look at new ideas. I think that the arguments against raising the minimum wage are the same old arguments that we've heard always on raising the minimum wage whenever we come to that point in our society. The emphasis, again, I think, needs to be on this pre-K through 14 education, and we should have a goal that all Iowans have training beyond high school, because that's where we're at now. That's what's needed in our state.
I was just going to say, aren't those old arguments, though, they keep coming back, because some of them are true. I mean, there are very low-margin businesses that can't afford to pay more to their workers and still be, and then they will cut those hours and will cut those. And so is there some sort of unintended consequence to raising the minimum wage?
Well, I think that this gets into some of what Senator Dix was talking about with the changes in how we look at taxation. We advocated on our side of the aisle for improvements in the earned income tax credit, and the key word there is earned. These are people who are earning but making low wages. So further expansion of that would be one way that we could alleviate those kinds of concerns. And then the concerns that you talk about with businesses. The change that we made in the property tax is huge on businesses here in Iowa and improves that climate for them through some of the ways that Senator Dix was talking about.